And actually, sir, there is mentality that at that time in English era, there is culture. Whobody can speak English. It was regarded that he is a respected person because he would be very close to the English empire. So that is why he was paid to respect. So I think this mentality is going on also right now, and English went away from our country from all around the world. They went away to their country, but their language, their culture was spread out the world. That is remains right now also.
But nowadays it's our not what the meaning. It's our genuine requirement.
Yes, yes, we have to. We have to. If we want to uh, grow, if we want to fight the problems, we have to learn this language because it is commercial language. In this commercial era, you have to learn the English language because it is most important thing to connect with the people to other country.
Second thing, sir, this is our international language also.
Mhm.
So that is the reason we need to improve this language.
Actually, sir, as you said that जिसकी लाठी उसकी भैंस, this is happening. Like most powerful countries now, at now also USA, whose language is also English. So that is why all the countries citizen also trying to learn English nowadays because they want to connect with the people to USA also. That is most powerful superpower country. But unfortunately, there is no Asian country who is superpower going to be superpower. That is why their language is also unrespected.
You know, sir, in China, maximum people avoid English language.
China is a country who is not paying respect to the English. All the citizens of China, they learn, they they China educate their people in Chinese language. There is no English language taught to the citizens like us. Here we are getting knowledge, we are getting education in English language. After classing our schooling, we we go to college. We have to learn the subject in English language. As like we are doing our science program like BSc, then we have to get knowledge. We have to get English. We have to get subject knowledge in English medium. There's no Hindi medium. There is no local language.
I want something is doubt, sir. Why our ancient people avoid Sanskrit language as like our national language, and only Hindi provided as like Hindi means national language. Because all we know that in the sir, in our country, all languages means Sanskrit is our mother language of our all language. But government is also not fully support regarding Sanskrit language.
Actually, sir, one thing is this that after gaining our freedom from English Empire, when India became free, unfortunately, our Prime Minister was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who was always in the favor of English Empire, who was fond of English language, who was fond of English culture. was not connected to Indian culture. He was always to the he was always towards English culture, English language. Uh, but if that time Sardar Patel were the our prime minister, then scenario would be different.
Yes, yes, 100% true, sir. This is our bad luck because maximum people interested to Sardar Patel Prime Minister, but only Gandhiji was not favorable. So it's really very bad situation, very bad. Because I like Latin language, our Sanskrit is mother language of our all languages. So if government
Yes.
promoted in ancient times of Sanskrit, because we know that sir, in that time also Gurukul something is also very popular I think was very popular in that time. So if
Mhm.
something supported by
But
government, then it is
intentionally, government of that time, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's leaded government, intentionally demolished our Hindi language, our Hindi culture. He was always in the favor of English culture and English language. No doubt, he was prosperous. Like he always wanted to industrialize our country, but language should have remained that our in Hindi, our education system should have carried on in Hindi medium language, like other countries like Japan and China is pursuing their education in Chinese language and Japanese language. There is no respect of English language. Like we are fond of English here, the people, because uh, we are forced to learn English language. Otherwise, we will be backed. But if you are going to Japan, their education system depend on Japanese language. All the country of this world know technology of Japan very forward. But their technology, their institution run through a Japanese language, not English medium language. But here in India, we are fighting for learn English language. But government is intentionally it is doing that. If you are wanting to learn doctors to be want to be doctor or engineer, you have to carry on your education in English language. There is no way other. So here people think that if we want to be educate, then we have to learn English. Otherwise, they cannot go forward. Here is the problem. But if you are going to Japan or China, there is the system. They can learn in their mother tongue.
yes, sir. But this is only one advantage also, Surendra sir.
Mhm.
That's why the reason our NRI is English language is also very good compared to Chinese NRIs, Chinese people living in America
Mhm.
or London. His English language is never means, friendly or always other type of language.
But sir, it is second option. It is second option. If in your country there is no way to go forward, there is no opportunity here to uh, increase your earnings, then you are trying to in foreign. Nobody of USA or England are coming in India to earn money. If any person are coming to do job here, no.
Now, suppose
Like
our
Japan and China, people always they are satisfied in their country. They are not wanting to go. Very few people are going to forward abroad because a lot of opportunity are there in their own country. If we have opportunity here, why we want to go out of my country? And there is no opportunity. This is the problem. Their NRIs are earning. This is not good thing. This is bad thing. They are going to abroad and they are earning. They are leaving their roots. If they are satisfied, no matter. They are comparing with the India, but they are not comparing with the native people of England. They are not comparing with the native people of USA. So this is the second way, second option. If there is no opportunity in the country, then we have to try out of the country. And they tried their best and they established themselves in the USA or any other because they knew the English language and they were talented, no matter. But if India there were opportunities, they they can establish here. They can learn a lot of money.
so we can say that regarding our culture and ancient, I like mother language of Sanskrit, government is always
Actually, sir, we should not be happy, so happy that our NRIs are yeah dominating that country. No, this is the second option.
yes, yes. So the role of our government,
Our country has no opportunity. Then our people are going to abroad.
so Sundar sir, we can say that
Hmm.
regarding Sanskrit language, our government role is always neglected something.
Yes, of course.
So
Because our government is always all until our education system will not change, then our uh, our government should take hand in this system like in our education system what is being pursued here. So I think government is only thing that is disturbing. If government take a free hand like promote Hindi medium, if government promote our local language in in their education system, then people will respect their own language. Otherwise, they will always they have to. There is the problem. They have to carry on their education in foreign language. Hi, Pankaj sir.
yes, yes, sir. So I think but this is very, very bad thing.
मेन प्रॉब्लम तो ये है ना इंग्लिश लेना हायर एजुकेशन हिंदी में नहीं है तो फिर उन्हें तो सीखना है उनकी परेशानी है मजबूरी है
Regarding advertise of our
सीखना तो पड़ेगा
Sanskrit language,
नहीं सीखेंगे तो पिछड़ जाएंगे
I think birthplace of Sanskrit is India. Yes, sir. Sanskrit language birthplace is like in India. But Indian government never never popularize, never try to popular.
it is speaking by the people
So, what's your opinion, sir?
actually sir Hindi is also not paid respect
Yes, nowadays maximum place we see that only English medium school is very popular.
Sanskrit is speaking by the people
Sundar sir, nowadays we see that every place English medium school is very popular.
yes also yes because our higher education always in English medium. So people realize that if we give education our kids in Hindi medium, then after some time they will go to get higher education, and higher education will be in English medium only. So that time they will be backward. They will feel backward. Yeah, I am not knowing the language of higher education. So it is regarded of higher society language also. Like English language is regarded as a higher society language because all the higher education institution goes to in English medium, like doctors, engineers, and CA, and many more things. Like higher education, if you want to get, you have to learn in English medium. So
Yes,
that is why there is trend to learn English language. That is why.
yes. Because what happens, sir? Suppose in China, Chinese people, Chinese government is always promote Chinese language. Yes, sir. In Japan,
Yes.
Japanese language is always promoted by Japanese government also.
Here in India, sir, here in India, you can find out the people. Yes, you cannot be a good doctor through the English Hindi medium. You cannot be a good engineer through the Hindi medium. But they never know that the Chinese people they learn they become the doctors and engineers in their own language, and they are good doctors. They are good engineers in they are learning their own language, and they become a good doctors compared to Indian.
Namaste,
So
sir.
it is not. Namaste, sir.
Hello. I'm walking too.
Yes,
I
yes,
surrender
sir.
G. I'm
Thank you.
walking just like you.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Continue. Continue. I'm listening to.
Yes, yes. So, sir,
yes.
now today,
So
today we are
we
discussing.
should always respect our own language, like
Okay. What is the
Japan and
topic today?
China and most. There are
Yeah.
powerful
Yeah.
countries who are providing their just general discussions. Sir, we are discussing about the language.
Yeah.
I have
Okay. So
12
yeah,
questions.
this
So
uh,
yes,
this this is this is a very good topic. I have been also working on the language issue recently, so I can also tell you. So if you look at the like you said that I don't know if I discussed it here or not. Maybe I did, and I'm not remembering. So I tell you first the example. From there we'll start. So one time when I was working for Intel, one of my manager he told me, like we have always like one-to-one manager employee meeting. So he told me that time that okay, so I see that when you go to the meeting, you kind of are quiet and you try to absorb the things, but not really you uh, you participate that much as you should. I mean, you know the stuff, you have ideas, but you provide the later that ideas and all that, but not you participate fully in the discussion. So, so I know why it is happening. I said that, tell me what is that? He said that I'm going to send you to the communication consultant, and you talk to them, and they will. What is happening with you is also happen with all the international people, and then it's a common issue, and we need to, it can be just like any disease can be fixed. So you go and do this meeting with that organization where those people are there. So communication expert. So when I went to the communication expert, they told me that look, this is what happens. That when you guys come from the international background, your native language is not English, and here you are trying to communicate in English. So what happens is that this is how these are top class psychologists. Some of them in the team is already like doctors and neurologists and all that, and that's what they have developed the program for people like who are affected, and they explain and they try to fix the problem of employee like me. So he said that this is what is happening. This is what happens. It's already well established fact scientifically that neurologically that when you there is a native language and there is a foreign language. So in this case, Hindi is your native language or Maithili is your native language, and English is a foreign language. So I told him that, well, Maithili is my mother tongue. He asked me about that question. He said, Hindi is not my mother tongue, Maithili is. He said, so he said that this is what happens. When you communicate, if somebody asks you a question, then what happens is that from English to your brain, when you listen, your brain sends that signal to your internal processing, and then that translates from English to Maithili in your head, and then you are able to in your mind is comprehending. Then once your mind, a portion computer of your mind has translated from English to Maithili, and then that is what you are comprehending. And then once you have comprehended, now you have the answer what you want to talk. So now you simply directly cannot talk. So now again, that communication which you want to say in reply, that is first conceived in Maithili in your case, because that is your mother tongue. And then your brain is going to translate that from Maithili to English. And now, when the composition is ready, material is ready in English, then it will give signal to your mouth that yes, now you can go and say what you have to say. So this is how the transaction of information happens in our mind. If if uh, if we are talking to somebody who is not your uh, native speaker. On the other hand, if both of us are from the same language, let's call it we both are speaking the same English. So then what happens? He has he's if it is native for both, then his brain right from the childhood is wired to the native language English. So no problem. You think in English and you communicate to English to me in the meeting, and then my brain also comprehends everything in English because that's also my native language. It doesn't have to go through any translation or anything. So it comprehends quickly, and then I am able to reply. So giving that there are two persons whose native language is English, they are communicating exactly the same thing. And if there are two persons, in one is English and one is Maithili, there is a gap of communication, little bit. Time you can scale that 1 millisecond or something like that. But these two guys are answering each other right away. But you are answering that that doesn't happen right away. There is a delay factor of 1 microsecond or millisecond, because there are, instead of having the two transaction, now there are four transaction of communication is happening. So so this is the thing. Second thing is that you can never be as good as a native speaker even if you live there for 100 years. For example, I have been living here for 40 years. I'll never be able to speak English or think or write or do anything in English like my son can do, because for him, English is his native language. Hindi or Maithili is not his native language. He thinks everything in English. So he can express fluently, very explicitly, beautifully in English, which I cannot, because I have so many deficiencies, because English is not. I can do the same thing in Maithili, which is my mother tongue. So he can do the way he can express himself in English. I can do the same way in my Maithili language. But if I try to copy him in English, my brain will not be able to do that job. It will fail. Similarly, if he tries to do it in Maithili, his brain will not be able to compose the things and he will fail. So this is the language happening. And so any country who has the native language used for communication, they are all going to do better. Now let's come to bring it to the Indian context. If you look at the Indian context, we in the Hindi heartland have been forced from like Rajasthan to Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, all this UP. We had so many different languages, and basically what happened is that uh, in the advent of the Hindi in 14th, 15th century during the Muslim rule, when they came, all these languages were kind of amalgamated in what is now Hindustani, which is none of the years. Because why it was amalgamated? Because if you look at the army of the Muslim army and army of the Hindu army of that time, mainly like a Hindu side, you have Prithviraj Chauhan, Jayachandra, and Rajasthan. I don't know who are the contemporary Ranas and all that. So they are the kings, and then on the other side you have Tughlaq and all those Lodis, and now suddenly you find that when they are interacting, fighting, doing all the businesses, their army and our army, Hindu, Muslim army, Sikh army, they all are slowly intermingling with each other. So as a result, Hindi was produced. What we have, the basic Hindi came, which is nothing but mixture of Punjabi, from that side, Delhi language, Rajasthani language, Western UP, Eastern UP, since Mughals army already marched all the way to through Bihar to Bengal border. So, Bihari languages. So it is nothing but a mixture of all these languages, and that's how Hindustani developed, and of course later on, Hindustani to Urdu and Hindi. That's what happened. So what happened is that we still in our family structure, what we are doing right now is that we still have our local boli, we call it. We don't call it language. Say, for example, if you are from the eastern UP, probably you are speaking Avdhi or say Bhojpuri. We in Bihar speak Maghi, Bhojpuri, Maithili, like that. So every Hindi heartland states have their dialect, which they are speaking at home or in the closed circle, and then we have another set we publicly speak when we are with the different group of people. So this is how we are doing it. So what is happening when you go to the school? We are not taught, we are not allowed to taught in Hindi heartland in our native language, because I was not taught in Maithili. Probably you were not taught in Avdhi. So if you compare that with the people in Bengal who learn in Bengali, those who learn in Tamil, those who learn in, say, Marathi, those who learn in Telugu or Malayalam, and so their comprehension, they have the teacher also speaking in the same language. Their subject matter material, classroom material is in that language, and the student is speaking that language. Their understanding of the subject is going to be far far better than what you and I can understand in when we go to the class one and suddenly boom, we have a Hindi teacher. The Hindi teacher is trying to explain to us in Hindi, and we cannot even speak a single word of Hindi correctly in the class one standard, because we have been speaking Maithili at home or Bhojpuri at home or Avdhi at home, and suddenly we are forced in a foreign environment. So this is the problem. So basically, what happened? It mutes our thinking process. We are not creative as a Bangla speaking student. If he or she has studied up to matriculation in their language, or a Keralite student, or a Tamil student, and that's why if you look at the Indian map right now, you can see the in all kind of metrics the growth. Hindi heartland is lower than all the border states of India. You take Maharashtra, you take Gujarat, you go Karnataka, Kannada, Malayalam, Telugu, Uriya, you come to Bengali, you come to Assami. They all are doing much, much better than you and I are doing in Hindi heartland because of this language structural problem which we have. Okay, so I stop here. This is what is the analysis of how the language has played a very, uh, you know, destructive role for the people of the Hindi heartland. I see Sanjay ji is also here.
Yes.
Arun ji
Now,
is here. So
sir,
it's like, yeah,
Good
now
morning.
floor is yours. You guys can now
Good morning,
continue
sir.
from there. Yeah.
so sir, today we discussing regarding our language because
So I'm walking. I'm walking here in the parking lot by myself. You guys can see this is empty parking lot here. Just want to give you. It's evening here. I don't. walk in the morning time. I come in the evening. Everything is khali. Okay. So Sanjay ji, I was just talking to Srinath before this meeting. So I told him that you and him should meet together and we should have a Ghana Bajana session. And then because
Yes, yes, yes.
you also like to do Ghana Bajana, so he does. He was smiling. I said yes, yes. So he will give you a call. I said you guys arrange a meeting and then call me and we can do like all the Ghana Bajana of 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's our period.
Wow, wow,
After 80s, we lost the music or whatever was happening in India. But we were very. We have seen almost all the movies. Myself and Srinath, we have seen almost every major movie from 50s, 60s, and 70s.
sure, we can do that.
Yep.
I have one doubt, sir. All we know that our Sanskrit language is mother language of our all languages in India.
Yes.
But after freedom, our government role is also not in a very well regarding improvement or advertise of our Sanskrit language in whole over India. It's only as like ancient language, God language, only Granth, Ramayana, Mahabharata, this Gita is only popularized and not in
Yeah. So you know that's the problem. A language a language dies if you don't have a use for it in the public life, right? So if you don't use it for the government, if you don't use for education purpose, if you don't use it for the music industry, movie industry, basically you have to do it. And you have an example in front of you. Israelis people have been forced to leave their land like since I would say that about 2,500 years back. And they've become a nomadic because they were thrown out. That was not yet the Arabian Peninsula was not a Muslim peninsula at that time because Islam had not yet come. But because of the nomadic fight, they lost. They lost their land, and so Israelis, about 25 to 3,000 years back, I would say, when not 25, 3,000, probably 6,000 years back, they were forced to leave, and they settled in different part of the country. One of the majority of them, they went all the way to Egypt. So when they went to Egypt, they settled in a large number there, and then they were doing just like Bihari laborers are doing right now. So they were forced to do all the work which nobody else wanted to do in Egypt, and so basically they all the pharaohs the story you hear, all the pharaohs buildings and pyramids were built by mostly by the labors of Israelites, they call it. Okay, and I have seen it by my first hand because I visited Egypt. I was there for a week on the tour one time with my son, and so, but once, so they were scattered in Europe, every different countries, Russia, Germany, in all other countries, including ours. In Bombay, there were a few families too settled. So Iran, you name it, but they were not at one place. But when in 1947, after the Second World War, they got their country back, uh, and then they reconstructed. They had the languages still it was surviving, but imagine how their language has been spoken in as a second tier language in so many other foreign countries, and then they were able to repair that, and they made their own language Hebrew their state language. Everything started happening in Hebrew. Now Hebrew is one of the most uh, formidable language of the modern world. So uh, you can do it for Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the only thing. which West respect out of India. You would be surprised to know that there is very, very high respect for Sanskrit, especially for Sanskrit Vyakaran. And because Sanskrit has, it's not only the uh, religion of, religious language. Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Vedas are not the only thing which was done in Sanskrit. There are Vedang, we call it Ved and Vedang. There are uh, 10 different other parts which was also at the same time developed in Sanskrit. For example, whole music industry was analyzed. You know, seven swar we call about it. Saregama, Padhanisa. It didn't come today. It has already established by our forefathers long, long time back in Sanskrit. Bharat was the first person who wrote the Natya Shastram in Sanskrit, which is still the world acclaimed book on the Natya Shastra. And you'd be surprised why they respect India, because there is no other book in the whole world older than the Natya Shastra, which explains drama, dance, music, and all that kind of concept. And so the West becomes nutmastak to India for giving such a wonderful art form. Okay. Similarly, the mathematics. Again, the mathematics was all done in Sanskrit, and you know, because we lost we didn't have the political might. So everything we our forefather discovered in mathematics, many of them things went through the Middle Eastern countries to Europe and Greek, and the other got credit for it, and we didn't get credit for it. For example, I gave you that we have six philosophies, and Vaisheshik is a Kanad Muni. Okay, it is nothing but the first time Kanad was the scientist. I call him a physicist, first physicist of India, who, being a man of physics myself, device physics, I have high respect, and I wonder why we don't hang his picture in the wall of physics laboratories classes. You know, all these laws which later on gets credited to other people like gravitation and all that, he has already done those gravitational laws, and everything is, if you he's I'm forgetting the name of that book. I had the English translation of it. You know, everything was established there. He is the one who developed the physical senses. How do we experience? And so ras, roop, gandh, all those he classified all of that. Like in the first chapter in the physics, we learned that materials we what you call we classify them into three parts: solid, gas, and liquid. You know, this was not done by West. This was already done in India very first time. But who just fundamental thing? So atomic physics, he is the one who said that everything is made up of atoms, and that is what is his philosophy. And we, of course, we call it metaphysics, but actually it is a physics when you understand everything. There's nothing to do with the God there. I read this whole book. There is no mention of God. It was completely a physics which uh, he developed, and he analyzed everything. So like that, if you go to different things, you'll find. For example, you know, we all know, those of us who are engineering, that Newton gets credit for developing calculus, and another mathematician Leibniz gets credit for it. That's why we have so many equations in the mathematics in calculus by Newton and Leibniz. But at the same time, in fact, before these two guys, there was a mathematician in Kerala who had already developed the calculus, and this was not known to us. You know, another example I gave you, Jyotish Shastra. It has been there for time immemorial. In the Jyotish Shastra, they were able to predict, you know, all our planetary systems. It is not simply like कब होगा हमारा मुंडन का दिन कब होगा और ब्याह कब होगा उसका दिन क्या है. That is that is what we know. We call it about Jyotish Shastra right now. But they were so smart that they developed They understood all the solar systems, how it works. They calculated all the distances between the planets. They calculated the distance between Earth. They calculated, uh, I mean, up to our geography. We use the term bhugol. In our culture, we have all like for time immemorial we have been knowing about it. That Earth is round. It is kind of already in our blood. That's how it is. That this planet is round. Okay, so this is how is in our Jyotish Shastra discovered. But do you know when Western got this idea? Let me tell you two examples. When Muhammad is supposed to be the uh, himself, he's a great philosopher and he's also called scientist. So for his he gave the knowledge to all the Muslims that Earth is like a flat surface. So Muslims, even now, a Orthodox Muslim, if you talk to them, they will not believe that this scientific conclusion that Earth is round. They would tell you that this is flat. Same thing in the Christian culture. You know that Galileo was killed because the poor guy, he said in the Roman place, I forget, I think what they call it there, the capital of the Christian world, that Earth is round, Earth is not flat, and that was his crime. So poor guy was killed for that crime, that he said that Earth is round. So you imagine that the things which our forefather had discovered long time by their intuition reasoning, by tapasya. Tapasya is not something sitting there and meditating on nothing. They were like tapasya is that they had the subject matter. Suppose if they were the astrophysicists, Jyotish Shastris, they were studying the planetary system over and over, trying to come up with, discussing on that subject. That was the tapasya, not like sitting on the Padmasan and uh, thinking that that is tapasya. We have a very wrong concept about things. They were the scholars of their fields, and then they were trying to come up with the systematic way of answering the questions. If they did not understand, they would simply stop and then it would leave for other people to figure it out. They would not simply say that, oh, how this is how it is, a false explanation. And this is what it. This is exactly happening in each field. If you look at it, you take the uh, Aushadhi Vigyan. It was well developed in India. In fact, Europeans learned surgery from Indians. You'd read all the materials. It's available. It was when we came in contact, Europeans came in contact with us, 13th, 14th, 12th, 13th, 14th centuries. That is when they took all this, just like through the through the Arabian Peninsula, they got what you call mathematics. Similarly, they got this our Jyotish health science, and then that's how it traveled. And so they give credit to Indians for that. There are many Western scientists they give credit, some they don't. But so Sanskrit, going back, Sanskrit is not only the language of one thing. I gave you another how smart Sanskrit is. The Panini, who was the greatest grammarian, he fixed the language Sanskrit, and he made such a. I'm learning that class. My God, I really have hats off to him. How he simplified the language. Like I was telling other day, like he said that not like kake ki, you don't know which one to use. How he has for all the words, he has like a noun, pronoun, and proverbs, exact way of uh, changing its character or calling it or writing it. And there are hundreds of verbs. They will be same way. Like for example, I gave you a very simple example: Ramaha, Vriksha, Krishna. Uh, you know, so when you are uh, Pratma, Pratham, discussion, every word will be like that. Meaning, you know, तीन आदमी जो है तीन तरह से उसको बोल रहा है, like we do it in modern day Hindi and Maithili and all that. I mean, because we don't have any standard. Sanskrit has, he has structured it, and the impact is that after he grammar, he fixed the grammar. All the literature we have for last 2500, it is continuous. It's the same. It has the same grammar rules. So there is no change uh, on that. On the other hand, previous literature, which is Veda period, it's different. It has a different structure. But I compare that with the English literature. You know that English is constantly changing. Like, for example, if you want to read uh, Shakespeare now, you cannot read it. You need a side notebook to understand uh, the grammar of the Shakespeare period, which is not too far. I mean, it is what, 16th, 1700s. That's when he wrote all these uh, books. I mean, all the dramas and everything. So that's what this is. What is right now. The West is respecting that. Oh my God! Look at the Sanskrit. How rich it is. There is not a single portion of the art and science which they have not touched. Uh, you know, so this is how it is. Evolution theory. You look at the avatar system. How is our avatar system, and compare with the Dravidian theory of the evolution? You'll be shocked how similar both are. I think I had already talked about it one time. Like, we call it mean avatar, which can only grow or live in the water. Uh, then our next is turtle, which can live in the water as well as on the earth. Like that, we have gone. And then if you go like Narsingha avatar, who is Narsingha avatar? He is a human evolution when still he is living in the forest, and still has not really culturally developed. Basically, it's a very early form of when civilization is ready to take off. And then in the civilization progress, next come our Parashuram. Who is Parashuram? In the history class, we all learned about X-Man, right? That X-Man is nothing but our Parashuram. And then you have a developed person, cultured man, which is uh, Ram, and then of course a political man, which is Krishna, and then Buddha, compassionate man. And now we know that what is Kalki. I was talking to my friend Srinath that what will happen to future. We have also discussed in the meeting that there are only two things will happen: that human society will become so mechanized as it is progressing that basically either they will destroy the planet by different scientific bomb or whatever form it is. When two groups will not be able to compromise, one group will become crazy and they will have power to destroy the whole earth. They can do it. Other is that if the asteroid comes from the other planet, they can destroy it. So going back, everything is our Sanskrit literature. Actually, Sanskrit should be made our language, and there should be convergence that all the and Sanskrit is the only language where is no discussion about Hindi wala versus non-Hindi wala. You go to the south, you know, they revere Sanskrit more than you and I do in the north. I mean, and they are deep into. Look at all the scholars, all the acharyas. Which part has produced all the acharyas? They all come from south. Yeah? Let's start with the Shankaracharya. He is the oldest among all the modern Vedantic philosophies. He comes from south. Uh, after south, after him, so he was like Advait philosopher. Then Madhvacharya, he comes from south. Nimbarkacharya, he comes from south. Like that, Ramanukacharya, he comes from south. So Sanskrit is the language which is acceptable to the whole country. And if you listen to the language once in a while, I listen just for understanding what is going on. If you listen, you can see that how many Sanskrit words are there in all the Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam. And if you talk about Singhali, Singhali is nothing but murky language. Because, as you know, Asoka sent his daughter and a huge team to go and settle in the Sri Lanka. So they speak basically Maghi there. and singly is you can make out the conversation what they are talking about because all the words are from Hindi or Bihari or you can say Sanskrit. So Sanskrit is now getting very highly, in the West. A lot of people have interest. They want to learn, and that's what I see in my class. All of almost 50% people are Americans, and they are learning with me Sanskrit. And it's uh, uh, it's amazing that how much respect Sanskrit has, and Sanskrit deserves that because there is no other language in the whole world who can boast of giving so much to the society as Sanskrit can. Greek, you take the classical language, Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, ancient Persian, ancient Arabic. These are the 4 5 languages which can boast. Chinese is there is no way Chinese learned from Indian languages. All the Indians went and translated all the books for them. That's how they developed everything. So they are like our B team. So Sanskrit is always on the top, and I'm sure that gradually revival will happen. People will realize there is already now movement in India in some parts that uh, Badami Sanskrit, Athami Sanskrit means come back. There are a lot of South Indian um, technocrats here in this country who are popularizing that. You can see online videos. They're all American engineers here, Indians here, and they are delivering classes in Sanskrit, how to speak Sanskrit. So it's coming back, but it will take time. That's it.
Thank you, sir. You provide a lot of idea regarding Sanskrit language. So, Namaste, Sanjay sir. Today we are discussing
Namaskar.
regarding Sanskrit language. All we know that Sanskrit is our mother language of our all native language.
Right, right.
But what you feel regarding means after freedom,
Hmm.
Sanskrit language it's a popularized, it's increasing or it's a normal or decreasing day by day. What's your opinion, sir? After freedom.
I cannot, I do not know before freedom, so cannot compare after freedom. So this is the state of this Sanskrit language, that shows the the state of the Sanskrit language in my generation. I think Amarnath ji has covered a lot about Sanskrit language, and I'm glad that I'm in contact with this, so scholarly group. And I heard about Sanskrit language and its importance, uh, and many scholars in India, ancient India. But today, Amarnath ji has given a very, very comprehensive information, knowledge about all those things. We have learned about this in bits and pieces here and there. On WhatsApp University, we keep, uh, you know, knowing all these things. But today, I'm glad that I attended this session and came to know about so many things.
I,
So
I,
coming back,
you know,
hmm,
yeah. So I just interrupt that mostly, like I also picked up Sanskrit now or learning because of the reading the scriptures. There
right,
is we all should at least have to learn basic so that we should be able to read Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and Ramayana. These are our top 3 books, right? Forget about the
right,
Vedas,
right,
and
right.
and that is the motivation. And even to read that and understand from directly from the text, you
Hmm.
need a lot of you need to learn Sanskrit, and that's what I'm doing. And
Right,
now
right,
I
right.
can, you know, uh, by the methods they have, now I can analyze the Sanskrit slok. I can do the
Hmm.
Sandhi Vidhed, and
Hmm.
I enjoy it. I mean,
Very good.
it's amazing how I used to be blind before I could read and Sanskrit, but I never understood the grammar or anything. So it
Yeah.
makes a day and night difference when you learn a little bit. So I would encourage you guys to, wherever you get time,
Hmm.
pick up some books, find some Sanskrit Pandit. I wish I had some Sanskrit Pandit like Pathakji nearby now. I, in my village, it's amazing that Srinath, his father,
Yes.
Sanjay, his father
Yes.
was
He told about that. Yeah.
yeah, Sanskrit University professor in Calcutta. His uncle was a Sanskrit teacher somewhere.
Mm.
and his two brothers are also Sanskrit professor, retired now. Oh, they were in my chola, all of this, and there were other two, three pandits, and I
Mm.
had a kind of gold mine right next to me in my childhood, which I
Mm.
never took advantage of. So
Yes, yes.
now I'm regretting. Now I have picked up interest in Sanskrit. It's too late, but it's okay. This
Mhm.
is what happens. So I would encourage you to educate your children also about Sanskrit and
Mm.
teach them whenever you can, because learning different languages is it's never a bad thing. You
Right, right,
can
right.
yeah. So
So
that will help them.
there is one PhD scholar who just completed his PhD at Cambridge University, Cambridge or
Yes,
Oxford. I'm not very
yes,
sure
yes, yes.
either. And
Cambridge
he
University. He
and
did.
he
Yeah,
yeah, in Sanskrit, and he found something that many people were unable to, you know, find
yeah.
about the grammar, Sanskrit grammar. Some of the things,
So
very complicated things.
yeah, it's on the net. You guys can see. I can little bit take from there. So
Yeah.
basically, he's a young student,
Mm.
PhD student. Now he got the PhD from Cambridge on that topic. So he comes from, I think, southern India, and
Mm.
they have tradition of learning Sanskrit, Vyakaran, and everything there. So he had been exposed to the Sanskrit Vyakaran there, and as I said, that Panini is one who
Mm.
who really wrote the uh, final book of the Vyakaran based on whatever was they were writing for that, and that
Mm.
is called Ashtadhyayi. The book of
Right,
which Panini wrote,
right.
it's called Ashtadhyayi, and it
Mm.
has so many sutras.
Mm.
And in those sutras, so what happened is that in the Sanskrit grammar,
Mm.
when you structure the sentence, just like our subject, object, and verb,
Mm.
Sanskrit is not fixed. You can interchange the subject, object, and verb.
Mm.
They can be anywhere. Still, they can make it the
Mm.
same meaning. But the
Something
thing
like
is that,
German. Mm.
yeah, yeah. But the thing was that there are there are so many rules there, that
Mm.
how word changes, or how the what you call uh, when you do the sandhi of the two words, how the new word becomes. There are so many
Mm.
rules on that one. So
Mm.
one of the rule which was there, uh, controversial in some part of the, let's call it, in the scholarly world of Sanskrit, and he knew about it, and he was trying to find the answer for that one. That was his PhD thesis.
Right, right, right.
Okay, so he
Mm.
explained that one in a way, and one day he was just like aha moment. He was having coffee, tea in the cafeteria, and suddenly
Mm.
it became very clear to him that this is how it has to be, and he
Mm.
said,
Mm.
but and then that was accepted, and then that's how that become his. So basically, some of the things, just like upvad we have, there were some questionable, like some interpretation of Panini's Ashtadhyayi, some sutras. There were little confusion on that one. So he
Mm.
basically clarified that confusion for that
Mm.
particular sutra,
Correct,
one
correct,
sutra. That
correct.
is his contribution. That's how
Mm.
it happens. Like, science
Mm.
don't develop in a day, right? We have to
Mm.
give this young man credit for that one. Although I have also seen that background scholars from
Mm.
the some places, they they didn't accept his thesis, but that's normal. Some people, always
Mm.
will
Mm. Mm.
argue and don't like
Mm.
to give credit to somebody.
Mm.
uh, I mean, if there was a problem, you didn't have a solution. If somebody young is trying to come up with a solution,
Mm.
you cannot simply say, oh, that's not this, that.
Mhm.
Let's give him credit. That's how the
Right,
science
right,
works. So
right,
that's what
right.
is the whole thing. But yes, it has taken. It was a very good contribution, and basically that become very viral. That news, that his PhD thesis work,
Yes, yes,
all over the world, in the linguistic circle, everybody talked about it. I think it's only 6 months back, isn't it? Only
yes,
6 months
yes.
back it came.
Recently,
Yeah, it's
sometime
very.
last year. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Six months back.
yeah. Then Amarnath ji, you also said about a lot of mathematical and physical sciences being
Yeah, I mean,
originally developed in India and then went to
yeah,
Arab countries, Middle East, and then to Europe, and then it came back here. That is true,
yeah,
especially for mathematics,
yeah,
because my son he went to Cambridge and Harvard, and he himself
yeah.
is a enthusiast of mathematics. Although he studied, computer science and all those things, but his main thrust is always on mathematical models on many things. So he also confirmed. Normally, he he doesn't favor such statements like, we tell that this has come from India, that has come from India, and all those. But he himself, told to me that many of the mathematical discoveries, took place in India, and then it went to Europe via Middle East. They copied it, and also to the US.
Yep, yeah. Yeah.
So it has
I mean,
been,
this, yeah,
corroborated by him as well as
yeah.
a young
Good.
scholar. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Then,
yeah,
hmm,
I mean, for example, basic things, the all we learned in the high school geometry, and
yeah,
we call it Euclidean geometry, right?
right, right,
But long before Euclid, it was already in use in
right,
Indian
right, right,
Jyotisas, all
right,
those.
right.
Like
So,
I
hmm,
like
hmm,
for example, I met a very one Jyotish, and I think it was in my high school days, and we
hmm,
used to call the trigonometry sine and cos,
hmm,
and then he told me that what you call sine and cos, we also have in Jyotish, and we sine, he called me, is the Jia. See, I can still remember that. This was like when I was ninth grader. I'm talking
hmm,
about, see, suddenly my brain works sometimes. I can
hmm,
rec- so he said that, what you guys learn in the school, in the science, we use it also in calculation in our Jyotish Shastra. Your sine is nothing but our Jia. Your cos is nothing but our Kojia. I mean, and I, so here it is. You can
hmm,
imagine
hmm.
that
Yeah,
we always thought that sine and cos and tangent, these are the Western discoveries,
no,
but they are not. They already were known to India
yeah, yeah.
a long time back.
So, what is common in all these things, discovery, is the Sanskrit language. All these
Yes,
things were documented in Sanskrit language. So that is the
exactly.
common thread,
Yeah,
be it
yeah. That's why
mathematical
it's a
science or
yeah.
physical science or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, look at it. I gave you how the infinity is defined in the Sanskrit, and also keep in mind that everything in the Sanskrit was not in the prose form. They had to do the all the mathematical things or all the scientific things in the
Mm,
poetry form, so that people can remember and recite to each other.
mm,
Because that's how the transaction was happening in the time from guru to sis. It's easy to remember.
right,
So
right.
uh, that's how it is. Let's see one sloka, which is from I don't know which Upanishad is. Ishavash Upanishad, I think that's what it is. Like the sentence is, I'll first say in Sanskrit, and then I'll translate it. Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Okay, so now this sloka is our religious thing in a way. But after doing my engineering, then one day I was thinking about it, that it's nothing but definition of infinity. So let's see here. Who Om Purnamida, O infinity. Uh, and then what next? All the sentences Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachite. Mudachite. If you subtract Purn from the Purn, you will end up with only Purn. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first part. Om Purnamida Purnat Purnamudachite Purnas Purnamadaya Purnamevavasiste. Agar if you add Purn to the Purn, what you will end up? Purnas Purnamadaya Purnamevavasiste. Purna evam basishyate means the end you end up with nothing but the poor. So it tells you that
Mm-hmm.
see the mathematics how it is described here in the
Mm,
Sanskrit, and this is I just gave you one example of how mathematics has been uh, you know preserved, and now they are learning. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about like Vimanika Shastra, that aeroplane industry of the West. I mean,
Hmm.
they had done the initial. I have not yet read that book, but there was those of you who have interest, or uh, they should read that book and see how it is. It seems that a lot of people are studying that one and saying that, wow, look at it, how they had started at least thinking about it. How can we fly? I mean, you don't fly in one day, right? Brothers had to experiment for a while in America here in North Carolina. I think it was what 1900 something like that, 1900,
Ohio,
1902 or
Ohio.
something. Right, right.
In Ohio,
So
the
it's
Wright brothers.
yeah. So it's like only about what 150 years back we made, and he kept trial and error, and same thing our forefathers were trying to do. They were trying to develop it, but what I mean, whether they were successful or not, what makes me happy is that they try to model it. They come up, they thought about it that we can fly, and then they started planning mathematical models. They formulated, and that's what is science. You don't have to be successful in everything today, right? You
Hmm.
start, you start the work, and then somebody else will take over from there. That's how it goes on. We collaborate in science. Yeah, somebody first thinks, and then uh, it starts growing up, and
Right.
so it tells you that how smart they were. Look at
Hmm.
the Asoka pillars. That is still the mystery of the material science. Material science has developed
It
so
never
much,
corrodes. Yeah.
nobody can figure out. Similarly, I heard about some other things in the southern temples. So, uh, I mean, it's amazing that different parts, different in the different field, how much they contributed. So, but the thing is that if you stop, then you stop. Like what is now in happening in America? America has created an environment that all the why is that? Have you thought about it? That why is all the major discoveries are happening now in America only, not even in Europe. So
Yeah.
so what happens is that there is a certain environment you need for development of things, and once you have that, then things start progressing, and that's what happened. I think, I don't know, maybe financially they were well off that time. They had
Hmm.
time to think about all these things,
Hmm.
and or they their Varnashram system was
Hmm.
there, that hey, Brahmins, you guys are thinker class. You have to go and think only. You have to discover something new. Then you are a true Brahmin. So you come up with a new thing. So everybody has to compete. Everybody has to come up with a new ideas. Maybe that's how they figured out so many things.
Hmm. And many countries trying to emulate American model where always new inventions take place, but they are not able to do right now.
Yeah, because
Especially
there is a you there are so many factors, right? You have to have
universities and yeah,
exactly. You have to have the
industries
certain
interaction.
environment. You
Yeah.
just cannot do it like copying one piece China is trying to do, but there
Hmm.
is no way they
Hmm.
can compete like that. You have, I mean, I see the school systems here, how they function, how it is different. There is no value here in cramming. I have never seen any student cramming anything. Like there is no competition that I have to be the first in the class. So uh, the same school teachers who teach you, they grade you all the way up to high school or even in the college, right? So it's not like you have to take uh, the exams like matric we do in India and all those things. There is nothing like that. So it's like Guru Sishya Parampara is really now in the West at all
Hmm.
levels, right from the
Also at
primary level
also
to
at
primary
Cambridge, I
level to
have seen this.
PhD. Huh? What?
At
Yeah,
Cambridge University, I
yeah,
witnessed every
yeah,
student is having a tutor, personal tutor.
yeah.
They go to
So
university just to attend classes, but actual learning takes place in the college, which is nothing but hostel. All the
hostel
colleges
tutor.
are hostels,
Yeah.
and they have tutors allocated, like
Yes.
Ramanujan had. Professor Hardy as
Yeah,
a
yeah,
tutor.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So my son at Christ College,
yeah,
he had a tutor,
yeah,
and most of the learning, academic, non-academic, all were taking place at the hostel, which is college.
yeah, yeah,
At the university, they were just attending classes and coming back.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The basic
So
kind of
this
a high
is
level things happen, but
yeah,
in
yeah,
the private one to one session, you really analyze
yeah.
and
And
uh, uh,
Cambridge and Oxford, they are just 1200 years old, 1000 to
exactly.
1200 years old.
Yeah.
But we had
Oh,
this Gurukul system
yeah.
several
Which was
thousand
very
years
effective.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was very effective.
So
Very effective.
yeah,
Uh,
so they
uh,
all copied paste things from,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
I mean, or even if they did independently, what happens is that you know there is a cycle, right?
Sorry.
When you reach certain stage, you start getting it, right? What like when you're a child, you can do so much. When you become adult, or you gain certain new perspective.
Mm.
So this is what happens. Similarly, society also goes through evolution
Correct,
in
correct.
terms of different stages. So when you have the right stage, then you start. Oh, we need to learn few things. We need to start putting it together, and then
Mm.
that's what happened. I think
So
in Europe.
mm,
Yeah, go ahead.
in my childhood, when there was a time to study Sanskrit language, my dad was posted in Maharashtra, and I missed that opportunity to learn Sanskrit in school. So I was studying Marathi language instead of
Yeah,
Sanskrit language
yeah,
because we have three language policy in all the states. In Maharashtra,
yeah.
they have Marathi, English, and Hindi policy. But in
Hmm.
Madhya Pradesh and Bihar and I think
We have Sanskrit
some
language.
other
Yeah,
places, yeah, you have Hindi, English, and Sanskrit.
yes. That's
So
how I learned.
yeah, I
Yeah,
missed that
we missed that.
opportunity. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he
Uh,
was in central government, so he was keep moving around
Yeah, I
place
know.
to place.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, but right now, if you look at it, I think in Sanskrit, Maharashtra is also doing very well. There are a
Mm,
lot of institutes. They are reviving Sanskrit, and there are so many institutes which are running classes like I think Bhandarkar Research Institute. They
mm,
do classes in Sanskrit.
mm,
I think last year I took a Mahabharat class from them. So
mm,
basically, all the chapters of the Mahabharat, one week, one lecture, and they were explaining because they are Oriental Research Institute.
mm,
So they were giving it. And then similarly, I took another class from another place. That lady was teaching Sanskrit online.
mm,
That was my second introduction to the Sanskrit last year, and then this year now I'm again learning from the American guru and his
mm,
his southern Indian student who is also
mm,
herself a college professor. So
mm,
she is kind of goes to ashram and she's scholar in Sanskrit. She has learned over the years and now she's teaching us the
mm.
Sanskrit grammar.
So Amarnath ji, you have so much knowledge about Sanskrit and associated developments that took place in ancient India. There is a need, I think, to consolidate all these things. In since you yourself an engineer, you can help to consolidate all the these information at one place.
Yeah, it is happening.
Okay,
The thing is that if people have desire, they can find it. There are a lot of people doing it. Like there,
Hmm.
as I said, that there are groups now. They are
Hmm.
trying to revive the Sanskrit that you and I can communicate in Sanskrit.
Hmm.
There are classes on that one, online videos you can watch. If you missed it, then there are classes you can learn Sanskrit from the alphabet all the way,
Hmm.
everything. So yeah, once I mean it is already revival is going on all over the country. There are a lot of people, and interesting part is that the far those who are settled in the foreign countries they are taking the front row.
Initiative. Yeah. I think the reason behind is economic reason
Yeah,
because
uh,
back in India where the Sanskrit originated, people are still struggling for their daily
exactly.
needs.
Yeah,
So and and we are in this forum. Pankajji has organized this forum to enhance English language, not Sanskrit language of you know people across the globe. So we can see that how Sanskrit, this forum itself is an example that how much importance we are giving to Sanskrit. We are
Yes.
actually propagating English language, not Sanskrit language, through this forum. So, definitely to answer Pankaj's question that where it is now. So maybe I am not the right person to answer because I never learned Sanskrit language. But I visited Nalanda University, the remnants of Nalanda, where I learned about uh, the knowledge that was there in the library and that was, burnt by Khilji, Bakhtiyar Khilji, and,
Yes.
in whose name there is a railway station also near Patna. I don't know why. Is it same
Yes,
Bakhtiyar or
exactly.
different?
It's so
Yeah,
shame that we
yeah.
have Bakhtiarpur railway station. Yeah.
And I learned about this story. I'm not sure how truth it is that once this guy he was Bakhtiyar, he was sick, and then one of the scholars gave him Quran to read and asked him to turn one page per day. And then after a few days, he recovered from his illness. That illness was so severe that his own Persian doctors were not able to treat him, and
Diagnose.
this
Mm-hmm.
diagnose
Mm-hmm.
him and treat him. And this scholar from Nalanda University gave him a Quran, and then later on, it was found that and on every page he put some medicine. So
Yes.
when he turns the page, he touches which is
Those
skin,
medicines.
and
Yeah.
that he gets healed for 30 days, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when he
Yeah.
came to know about this knowledge, he he took that knowledge to Persia.
Yeah.
So there is evidence that lot of these scholars were converted into uh, Persian, religion
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to transform or to transport this knowledge, impart this knowledge from
Yeah.
Nalanda University to Persian community
Yeah.
in Iran
That's
and
how it
other.
happened.
That is
Yeah.
what Mughals did. So,
Which is
and that was
which
the
is
root cause why he got very infuriated. That how come these scholars have so much knowledge, and
yeah.
instead of encouraging, he destroyed that library. And I
Yeah.
learned that it burned for
Many months. Yeah. That's
many
true.
months, and then
Yeah.
lot of knowledge was destroyed. Not only
Yeah.
Persian but also Chinese scholars. They came to visit Nalanda University in that time, and they also exchanged knowledge. So there is evidence that knowledge
Yeah.
went from
I mean.
India to China
Yeah.
and Persia and then to Europe.
Everywhere. Yeah.
And
My battery is just
mm,
for information. It can die anytime. So if I get disconnected, just letting you guys know.
sure,
And
sure.
like you said that Nalanda and in the Bihar, Bikramshila and
Yes,
Takshila, these were the top university of their time.
correct,
Uh,
correct. Mm,
so you can read the artifacts in English by
mm,
by
Kautilya,
Kautilya's,
Chanakya.
and that gives you the idea how that time society was there, right?
Right, right,
Like you said that I mean openly the current Dalai Lama
mm,
he says that we bow to Nalanda because whatever is the um, form of, I'm forgetting the name, the
mm,
Tibetan Buddhism, what we call it.
mm,
Tibetan Buddhism went from Nalanda to Tibet, and you
mm,
can see it online his lectures.
mm,
And one of the top scholar in that one was another person named by Ramanuj.
mm,
So, so Tibetan Buddhism, Ramanuj, a scholar of Nalanda University, is considered the father of the Tibetan Buddhism. And I'm
mm.
not, I'm not quoting from the anybody. I have seen the lecture from Dalai Lama himself talking about
Mm,
it, that how
mm,
how indebted he is to India. For he
mm.
himself says that we consider India guru. That's how he
Yeah,
says.
even Chinese.
Hmm.
I went to a place in Jiangsu province,
Yeah.
and there is a huge lake and mountain, and on that mountain there is a huge statue. Huge,
Yeah,
you cannot imagine how huge it is, of Buddha. And
yeah,
I saw the Ashoka pillar there,
yeah,
coated with gold,
yeah.
and the subscripts written in, I think, Pali or Sanskrit language in
Pali,
China.
Pali.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Chinese host himself approached me and said that, Sanjay, we are thankful to India for
yeah.
giving us, this spiritual knowledge.
Yes, yeah.
So
So,
he himself
like,
said, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, we know the travelers like Fahian and Huan Sang from
Mm,
China.
mm, mm,
Uh, they came like in fifth and sixth century when, and I think Fahian was also made chancellor of the Nalanda University for a while, and
mm,
he went back. He took many books with him,
mm,
and then later on, a lot of scholars from India were called in China
mm.
to translate many books in Chinese.
Right,
So
right, right.
yes, so this is all historical facts that
Right, right. So I was very
uh,
fortunate to visit
yeah,
Nalanda,
yeah,
remnants of Nalanda. And the Singapore government took initiative to revive Nalanda University. And
yeah,
now again Nalanda University is there with modern building and with
mm,
few chosen subjects
yeah,
in management and political science and other things.
good, yeah.
And the first chancellor of newly revived Nalanda University was a Singapore minister.
Oh wow, look at it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
Amartya Sen became chancellor, and then now there is one lady, I think. She is
Yeah.
the
So
chancellor of
so yeah.
Nalanda.
So this is. I mean, we have to interact with each other, and good things we need to spread it to every place, right?
Yes,
And
yes, yes,
that's how the world learns from each other.
yes,
So
yes.
uh, uh,
So I don't know whether we can answer Pankaj's question directly, that whether Sanskrit language, has improved or deteriorated or it is same. Only the
I
time
think
will tell. Yeah.
yeah, it has. The thing is that it will never die.
Yes, yes.
Sanskrit is there are
It's
very
reviving, I will
it's
say. We have
reviving.
evidences
Yes.
that it is reviving again.
It is not reviving only in India, it is reviving
Glory.
outside India also.
Yes. And to
So
catch
because
its lost
yeah,
glory. Yeah.
yeah. So it's and then the thing is that nobody tells that Sanskrit is, we all say that Sanskrit is the human civilizations. For example, now look at what is happening is that now we're talking about mathematics. So now intercommunication when they select so many languages because the grammar structure of the languages are so different now, and the Sanskrit grammar is so structured grammar that in many technical machine learning now Sanskrit is going to be the language of
Yeah.
communication for the machines. So machines are going to be taught Sanskrit first, so that they can exactly the I mean, look at our matrix. There is 8 vibhakti in Sanskriti, like Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, Sashti, Saptami, Ashtami, and then Ekvachan, Dvivachan, and Bahuvachan. So 8 by 3 matrix you have. There is no other grammar which has such a structured matrix. So they are finding it very interesting for the machine language too. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard about that.
Yeah,
Many years back, I have been listening that Sanskrit is the best language for computers language to
yeah,
make
and
softwares and all this.
yeah, and I mean, once you start learning, you find that it's not that difficult. It appears that it's because it's so structured that there is one type of rule, and which rule applies for all the words, all the like groups,
Hmm.
akarant, akarant. So all the akarant will behave the one way. All the akarant will behave the other way. So that's how it is structured. They have already compartmentalized, and then uh, group behavior they have given how that all the words in that particular group should be spoken at in different vibhaktis. So I guess
Hmm.
my battery is now trying to say goodbye. So
Mhm.
I guess I'll close it now before it tells me. And I'll see you guys some other day.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good
Thank
morning.
you.
Good day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Send us some link.
sure,
Yeah,
sure, sir.
Pankaj, please coordinate with him
Yes, yes, sir.
that he can send us some link that those who are interested to start learning Sanskrit language, they
Same,
can
sir.
pick up from there. Good topic today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir,
And sir,
for
we are also
coming,
trying to
joining us.
regard. Yes, yes, Surendra, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm very grateful. And sir, please come and join our session if possible every day.
Yes,
Looking
yes.
forward to having you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Let us call it a day. Now
And
already
sir,
10 o'clock.
no, sir, every Sunday, sir, we
Hmm.
discussing regarding as like 8 to 9 p.m. regarding Mithila language, Maithil
Okay.
language,
Hmm.
and 9 to 10 regarding our Dharm Gyan. Means we are
Let's see.
trying to some
Hmm.
attraction regarding Sanskrit language, Sanskrit word
Hmm. Hmm.
with support by Pathak, sir. So
Acha,
at least
acha.
only one day we are
Hmm.
trying to connect with our Sanskrit language also.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good.
But naturally, our night time is not favorable in Singapore time. Yes, sir. It's a too late night, I think.
Right, right. That's
It's a
true.
2.5 hours ahead from India.
2.5 hours, yes.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
So, if possible, sir, then also try to join at least 8 p.m. in India every
Okay.
Sunday. Yes, sir. It will be also good for us. Okay, sir. Now 7:30 is in India time. So we will meet tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.